Greetings. Welcome to a little video on how to create a histogram with imported data. We're going to pick on Let's Do It 14.14 because it's got quite a bit of numbers in there, 51 of them to be exact, that you would have to enter into your calculator to do by hand. Excuse me. If we import this into RStudio, though, it's actually quite straightforward. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Hopefully you know where your ASCII data sets are and you've downloaded all that. If you haven't, then please go back and watch the earlier video that discusses that on bar plots. Okay, so let's go get into R here. Got a nice clean R going here, and I'm going to go ahead and create myself an R Markdown file to do this in, and go ahead and just do a Command A, just get rid of that. Let's go ahead and save it right away. And in our previous video we did a Work Chapter 4 folder. I'm going to make a new one here. I got to make yet another new folder. Every time I do one of these R Markdown folders, it needs to be in its own folder. Okay, so we're going to go Work Chapter 4. I'll put an H in there, it'd be better. And we'll go Part 2. Okay, how about that? Just so I know what it is. Doesn't matter what your name is, as long as you know what it is. Okay, and I know that this is LDI 4_14. Okay, so we'll save that R Markdown file, so we're good to go. All right, let's go ahead and import the data set. So again, over here in the workspace, you find the Import Dataset button or tab. We're going to click on that. I'm going to get it from a text file, and in my R files, I have stored my ASCII folder. I'm going to double click on that. Go into Chapter 4, double click on that, and it turns out that the LDIs are at the bottom of this, so I'll go ahead and hit my bar there to get the LDIs up top, and I want LDI 414.dat. Now, you may have to surf a little bit to get to it, but eventually you'll find it. If I double click on that, it's going to bring me up the import window, and again, this is going to create a data frame with two variables. The first variable will be income, and the second variable will be state. So the annual income by state is what will be in our data frame. So let's go ahead and import that. And voila, we have it in here. Now again, as before, I'm going to need this line, this read.delim is going to have to come in and be used in our Markdown file. So what the heck, let's go ahead and grab that now and get that out of the way. So just copy everything, but don't copy that greater than. We don't want that. So go File, Copy. Let's go back over to our Markdown, and this is let us do it 4.14, put in some equal signs so we know that's our header, and then I'm going to come over here and open a chunk right away, and I'm going to get down in here, I'm going to insert that command. Now all that's doing is that's telling my Markdown file where to go find the data that I want it to do something with. Okay, alright, so let's go take a look at the actual LDI, because we're going to try and do as much of it as we can here. So they want from us to find the minimum income and the maximum income from this data set. Now we could scan it and look through it and all that, but I'm going to get R to do that for me. So let's go back over here to R, or RStudio I should say, and have RStudio do that for me. And the way I want to do that is I'm going to ask it to find a summary of that data set for me. Okay. In particular, I'm going to want it to summarize LDI 4_14. So let's type that in, LDI, and if I hit a tab, it'll do autocomplete for me. Don't forget about that. That's a really nice trick. Put in the $sign because I've got to tell it which of the two variables in LDI 414 I want. Remember, we made a data frame. Go over here, your workspace is telling me that I got 50 objects. In other words, I have 50 rows, and I have 2 columns is one way of thinking about that. Okay, so the objects basically is telling me the number of rows I have, and the variables telling me the number of columns I have. Okay, so while I'm over here at my question mark, hit the tab again, and it's going to give me my choice of which of those 2 variables I want. Well, I want to know something about the income, so I'll paste that in. Okay, so I can actually run this from this editor just to take a look at it and see what it's going to look like. So let's do that. So hold down your Control or your Command key and hit a return, and back down the console, R will respond and tell me what that is. Okay, And so notice that the nice thing is that right here, there's my minimum and there's my maximum. In other words, R, without me even having to do any hunting, told me what the minimum was and the maximum. In fact, it gave me some other information too that we'll be talking about quite a bit in Chapter 5, which is the first quartile, the median, the mean, and the third quartile. So it gave me all sorts of great information there. Okay, so that answers that part of the LDI. Now what they want us to do is they're going to want us to create a histogram of this particular data. So to do that, turns out that the command in R is quite easy. It's just hist. So I'll type in hist, open up a set of parentheses, and I'm going to type in LDI, hit autocomplete, hit the $ again, and then hit a tab for the autocomplete, and I'm again get income. And now I don't want to just get the bare bones stock histogram. I need to gussy it up a little bit. So I'm going to go straight to XLab. We talked about this a bit with the bar plot. And my X label is going to be what? Well, in quotations, because it is a string, and all strings have to be in quotations. In other words, if I wanted to display text on a graph, then I need to put it into quotations. And so what that's going to be is what? Annual income. If I could spell correctly, that would help too. And USA and USA. And let's go back and take a look at the thing real quick. This was in 1997 is when it was collected, or published, but it's for 95 through 96. Okay, so we'll go ahead and say 1996. Actually, we're going to wait for the main for that. And I think about that. That's sort of the pause there. Just thinking, I think I'll wait to put that up in the main. That belongs there better. Okay, now the Y-lab, fortunately, that's not going to change from the last time when we did a bar plot. That's going to be frequency. And just, quick aside while we're talking about this, the real difference between a bar plot and a histogram is that a bar plot is used typically with categorical data, and a histogram is typically used with numeric data. Now that said, we don't restrict bar plots from not being used with numeric data. If you've got quantitative discrete data, bar plots work quite well, like if you're creating a bag A, bag B sort of situation. But if you have quantitative continuous data, then really your only choice is a histogram to get the shape of the distribution. So, and the nice thing about bar plots is that not only do they work with quantitative discrete, but they also work with categorical data. Okay, so pretty good. We've got our X lab, we've got our Y lab. Let's go get our main here, and we'll shut up here and finish this thing for you. So put in the main equals, and the main is going to be income, annual income. Put the same thing in again for 50. Well, so I'm not going to put the 50 states because District of Columbia is in there too. Annual income in 1996. Let's just do it that way, okay? And then last but not least, I can't help myself. I got to put a color in here. So let's go color equals, and what should we make it? We'll make it tomato. Turns out you have a huge number of possible colors available to you. Let me come down here to the console here for just a minute. Let me show you. If I go color parentheses and hit return, oh, colors, my bad, sorry, because it's plural. If I go colors and hit return, R will show me all of the named colors. There are 657 of them. So you can, why don't we go with yellow green on this particular example, okay? So let me copy that, forget tomato, we're going with yellow green. Okay, so that's one of the named colors that I can use. So you have a lot of choices, all right? So let's go ahead and run that line. Ooh, that's gorgeous, looks like puke. That looks like a Mucinex commercial. Anyway, so that's how we can get RStudio to create the histogram for us. But of course, we're going to want that in a markdown file. Okay, so I'm going to come down here below our chunks, and I'm going to put a little bit of text in and go, this is the histogram produced for LDI 4.14, just so I can get something in there so you can see the text. All right, let's go ahead and knit this bad boy. It's going to take a second here. There we go. And voila, we get our knit. Okay, and notice the nice thing is that summary command also shows up. It gives us a box with the information there, so we know what our min and our max is. So we answered that question too. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so hopefully you're getting kind of the hang of it here, of using these data sets without having to type all this stuff in. If you've got any questions, please post them to the R forum.